back to Always Learning. And what are we doing today? Well, we're learning about grass. Not that kind of grass. We're learning about turf management of tall fescue. And my dad was the county extension agent of Thomas County for about 40 years. And he always had a pretty nice lawn. We didn't even have a sprinkler system growing up in western Kansas. But my dad was pretty simplistic in his approach. And I went with him on a lot of calls where he went to look at people's lawn, assess what was wrong with them, and kind of help them out. And as I became a homeowner, I just asked him what was the simplest way to take care of a lawn. And he shared that with me. And so I'll share that with you. So there's really three things involved in taking care of your lawn for having good turf. It's mowing, it's proper watering, and the last is application, or it kind of falls under the umbrella of fertilizer and preventative treatment. So the first one is mowing. It's called tall fescue. There's some varieties out there that's shorter, but it's tall fescue because it likes to be tall. And you typically want to mow in your two highest settings, and you want to mow it anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 inches tall. Now, by mowing it tall, it does a couple things for you. The first thing is it provides less sunlight for a lot of your weed seed, so you're going to get less germination of your weeds. Weeds still grow in concrete, so you're still going to get weeds, but it's going to cut that percentage of germination down dramatically. And the other thing it does is it's going to allow you to conserve water and allow that water to soak in and evaporate at a slower rate, so it won't you won't lose it. So basically, it's going to where it needs to be. The other thing about mowing you want to take into consideration is you want to mow different directions. So you don't want to mow the same direction every time, because that forces the grass to lay down. And if you look at how golf courses, the higher end golf courses, manage their rough, they mow it in different directions so that grass stands straight up and it looks better and it's stronger turf. It's a little frustrating on the golf course because you'll lose your ball, and it's pretty hard to hit out of because it just wraps around your club, but it's strong, thick turf. The last thing about mowing, you don't want to mow early in the morning when it's wet, because that's going to tear the grass. It's not going to cut it as smooth. And that kind of goes along with, you want a sharp blade. You should be sharpening your mower blade. If you don't, what happens is that blade tears the grass, and that torn grass sets your grass up for different diseases, but it also just doesn't look as green, because the tips where you tear it are going to get yellow or they're going to get white. And you can kind of tell when you need to change your mower blade when you look across your grass, you look down at it, and you can see that the grass has been torn and not neatly cut. The minimum you should be doing it is 3 times a year. Basically, anytime you water, you should be basically doing it 3 times a year. And that is anytime you're going to fertilize, it's going to grow the most. That's when you're going to want to sharpen your blade. I'll probably put together a little video and add it to the end of this in a card in the future. So if you don't know how to sharpen a blade, I can show you. It's pretty simple. You can do it with a grinder, or you can just do it with a file in a vise or clamp to your workbench. But it's some skill you should learn, because it's something you can cheaply do to improve your grass. Next is watering. Tall fescue needs 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water a week in form of precipitation. That can be rainfall. If you don't have an irrigation sprinkler, it makes it a little more challenging. But what I see mostly is people overwatering. They'll water every day, and what that does is it really promotes shallow roots, and it's also going to set your lawn up for fungus. You want to water early in the morning, so it's going to evaporate less, and you're going to have less chance of fungus. If you water at night, you're setting your lawn up for fungus when it gets more hot and humid going down the road. All right, well, it looks like it's getting ready to rain, so I'm going to come inside to go over. So the third part is your application, and that's your fertilizer and your preventive kind of medicine that you're going to give your lawn to take care of it. And it's not really that involved, but let's say you're overwhelmed with it and you're a new homeowner, you just want to do the basics. So mow and take care of the water, and then it's going to be about double the price of what you'll pay for chemicals. But go ahead and just pay a professional. Any kind of lawn service, they'll come out, they'll do probably 5 applications. It's going to be about this time about $375 a year. And they'll put down your crabgrass preventer, they'll put down all the appropriate fertilizers, they'll put down your grub control, and they'll put down fungicide. If you have a weed problem or some kind of issue, they'll come out when they're looking at it and they'll assess it, and they'll either have to do maybe a different application or add something to it, but they can make your lawn better. But they'll make your lawn better. If you don't want to pay for the professional, the next easiest approach that's kind of simple is this is Bonide, but this is DuraTurf. There's all different ones out there, but you can see here it's got a phase 1. And I get all my products at Woodard Mercantile. If you're in Wichita, there's one on N Maize Rd, there's one on East Andover, and then if you live out way east, there's one in Eureka actually as well. But if you go to the one out at Maize, go in and ask for Woody. He knows everything there is to know about lawn treatment. Just walk in this door and yell, "Hey, Woody," and he'll come running. What's also great about the Woodard Mercantile is, besides having all the products, is you can go pay for them at the register, take your ticket, and you can drive to the side and they'll actually load it in your car, or they'll carry it out for you. So if you get 2 or 3 bags and you don't want to hassle with it at some of the big box stores, go to Woodard Mercantile and they'll give you white glove service there. So, but this is what they carry, but other places sell Scott's, Fertilizer, they all have their kind of phases. And all you do is, it's like a certain time of year, you put down phase 1. You check your calendar, put it in your phone. Phase 2 comes along, you put it down. Then you do phase 3, and then finally in the fall you do phase 4. Some of them might even have phase 5, but they make it kind of idiot-proof to do them. This one, it has a slow release nitrogen and a crabgrass preventer all in one. But just quickly, if you don't know anything about fertilizer, the way the numbers are, the way to remember how they do it is the first one is up, the second one is down, and the third is all around. So up, down, all around. The first one's nitrogen, it makes your grass grow up. The second one is phosphorus, it makes your grass go down, it's for the roots. And the third one is potassium or potash. And it's just kind of all around, or kind of a thing about the vitamins, it's just kind of immune health of your lawn. So when you're kind of putting that together, that's what you kind of want to think about in that time of year. Usually, if you go in and talk to anybody, they'll kind of tell you, well, this time of year, you're not really trying to get top growth, you're trying to get it more into the roots, and so they can kind of gauge that. If you're going to do it properly, you really should, on your own, you really should go and Sedgwick County here in Wichita, or any county across the United States, their extension service, you can go to their website and it'll tell you when you should be applying and what at certain times of year. But you can also do a soil test, which I don't know what they cost now. They're pretty nominal, maybe $20 to $30. But if you do the soil test, they'll tell you what your pH is and what nutrients you're lacking in, so you can really tailor it to what your soil needs, because that's the easiest way to grow grass, is to get your soil right. Either to bring in good soil when you start, or to get the nutrients in your soil right. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to do that. If we've got a decent lawn, we're just going to keep rolling. That's kind of what I have done. But those are what the numbers mean, so you can gauge it based on what you think your lawn needs in certain times of year. So at the beginning of the year, in March, so we're going to start in the spring with putting down a crabgrass preventer. And Woody would say, when the crabapple blossoms get to be the size of a squirrel paw, that's when you want to make sure you have your crabgrass preventer down, because that's going to keep your crabgrass from germinating. I like to say, when the crab trees bloom, crabgrass looms, is kind of how I remember it. But you always think, you put in your calendar, kind of that mid-March, when March Madness starts, that's when crabgrass madness starts. So if you think about when March Madness is getting ready to start, that's when you want to put down your crabgrass preventer. That time of year, you're also wanting to put down some kind of high nitrogen, slow release. It'll help promote earthworms. If you put a fast release nitrogen, your grass is going to come up quicker, but those earthworms that are aerating, you're going to drive them out because they don't like that as well. So if you put a slow release nitrogen, it makes your grass grow. You're just kind of starting to get it going. Fescue, you want to think of F, football, and fall. Fall is when you really are trying to get your lawn looking its best and kind of developing it the most. In the spring, you're just trying to get it going and kind of wake it up a little bit. So you can do a combination, or you can do them separate, but you're going to put down a crabgrass preventer and some fertilizer in late March. The next thing is in May, you're going to want to come back with like a 13-13-13, or maybe just lower on nitrogen and a little higher in potassium and potash, the second and third numbers, and just kind of keep that grass growing. It's going to start, it's a cool season grass fescue, so when you start getting into that May and the summer months, it's going to want to kind of almost go dormant, especially if you don't have a sprinkler system. It may go dormant. You won't get much growth out of it. Good news is you won't have to mow much. So you might want to put a little bit of application in. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is in June. If you think of June bugs, they're coming from the grubs. You're going to want to put some kind of grub. You can put it in granules. This is actually a spray where you can hook it to your garden hose, walk and spray. You want to take all the proper safety precautions, whether you're putting down granules or whether you're spraying it. But you want to spray your lawn, and that should take care of your grubs. Usually you want to put them down earlier, a little maybe earlier than June, and that should get you to kind of the grub season, which is 6 to 8 weeks. Then after that, you're really not doing much with your lawn. You're just really kind of trying to keep it alive. But when it starts getting really humid, really hot, really warm in the evenings, that's when you got to be concerned. You want to make sure you're not watering at night, because that's when you're going to promote fungus. And if your lawn's prone to fungus, then just you can put a fungicide in late July down to kind of keep that at bay. You may have to do another application at the end of August, but that's kind of the time frame when it starts getting warmer at night, and humid is when you want to start worrying about, high humidity is when you want to start worrying about fungicide. Then you don't really do anything. September 15th, when basically college football starts playing their divisional games, that's when you want to start thinking about doing a big lawn renovation, either aerating, verticutting, or overseeding. And you also want to put down your if you're not overseeding, then you want to put down another pre-emergent crabgrass, because there's a lot of weeds, believe it or not, that will germinate over the winter and stay about this big, and then they pop up in the spring, and you're like, I put down crabgrass preventer, I put down weed preventer, I don't know why they're popping up. It's because they were already there before you put down they had already germinated before you put down the crabgrass preventer. But if you're going to overseed either in the spring or the fall, then you don't want to put down any kind of crabgrass preventer, because that's going to prevent any kind of seed from germinating. So if you're not overseeding in the fall, then you want to put down a crabgrass preventer kind of at that same time. But if you are, then September 15th is kind of when you want to start. It's going to be just a little warm, but if you got an irrigation system, you're going to be fine. If you don't have an irrigation system, then you might want to move it closer to the end of September. But that's when you're going to aerate, overseed. You're going to put down another round of fertilizer. It's going to be higher in potassium and potash again, because you're not trying to necessarily grow the top part of the grass. You're trying to drive those roots down. And that's what aerating really does. So if this is your roots, and you come in and you take a plug, let's say your roots are tight together, and you come in, you take a plug, and now there's a gap there. What happens is, this is how far your roots are down in your lawn. And then you take a plug out of the middle here. What'll happen is from there, those roots will go down farther. So everywhere you took a plug, those roots will go down another 2 or 3 inches, and you're driving those roots down farther, and that's kind of what you're promoting. You're also creating a space for soil contact, where like a little thing that holds the fertilizer, and it holds the water, and it holds the grass seed to help that grass really kind of bloom. You probably don't need to overseed unless you've got just a really dramatic lawn, or maybe you've got some bare spots. That's also the time of year where you're going to want if you've got Bermuda coming into your fescue, where you're going to want to spray it with Roundup and kill it, and kill it all its fingers, and then come back in once everything about that Bermuda is totally white. That's when you want to come in and overseed over that area to reestablish your fescue turf. So that's mainly what you want to do. Now, when you're fertilizing in the summer, you're going to have weeds pop up, because like I said, weeds will grow in concrete. So you're going to prevent weeds by mowing your grass taller to decrease that germination, but you're still going to get them. So what I do is I just fill up a little spray bottle with kind of a crabgrass killer, an all-purpose weed killer, because that's how my dad taught me. And a couple days after you mow, you just go out. In the afternoon would be better, or If it's Saturday, if it's hot, because those weeds are going to want to absorb moisture. So if you spray them with water, there you got a better chance of them absorbing the chemicals and kill them. But you want to wait a couple days after you mow, then just walk your yard and spot spray wherever you have any weeds. This is a broad 2,4-D is mostly what it has in it, but it's going to kill all your broadleafs, your dandelions, your clover, and all that. So hit it with something like this, a broad spectrum. Then you're going to get this other thing that's really annoying. It's called Nutsedge, and this is called Sedge Ender. They also make a thing called Sedge Hammer, but it's very specific to Nutsedge, and so it won't hurt your lawn. But they come up and they look kind of yellow. It almost looks like a thin blade, really thin blade of yellow grass. That's the little baby Nutsedge, and what they do is they get about 3 or 4 little nuts down there in their root, and when you pull it out, guess what? There's 2 nuts or 3 nuts left down there to germinate into a new plant. This is a very specific herbicide just designed to take out that nutsedge. So if you spray it in those areas where you have it, usually it's where water kind of sits, is where it likes to thrive, but you can spray that just to take care of that. This usually doesn't hit it as well, but this will take care of nutsedge. Like I said, you can get it up, last you a long time. I just mix up one little bottle that has this in it, one little sprayer, and one little sprayer that has this in it, and then I just kind of selectively spray those herbicides to take care of those weeds. And that's really it. It's pretty simple. It's mowing, it's watering, it's putting down those applications at the right time of year. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go to the Sedgwick County or whatever. You can also go to Google and look what your county is. But the extension services have done a great job of telling you exactly how to take care of the turf that's in your area, whether it's Bermuda, zoysia, bluegrass, or fescue. They'll tell you how to take care of it in a very simple and direct approach. So anyway, hope the video helped you. Please like and subscribe.
Here's something I use. I've used a Scott's little hand spreader for years. My neighbors always give me a hard time because I've got a pretty big lawn, but I switched over to this new system, and I'll put a link in the bottom, but it's a zip bag, and it holds like 25 pounds, and you can really crank out and cover your lawn in short order. I like it because I can walk faster or crank faster or slower, and I can tilt the spray. You just got more flexibility of how you spread your chemicals and your fertilizer by doing it this way versus a push behind spreader. So anyway, just something you might want to think about, try, look at, but I'll put the Amazon link in the description below. It works pretty well, and it's pretty handy. Like I said, I can cover my lawn in about 15 minutes, and I've got probably 3/4 of an acre.